All right, breaking down the Sunday finale with two of the best in the business, the two-time Super Bowl champ Bryant McFadden and our guy Ryan Wilson as well. Guys, defense really ruling the day on both sides of this matchup. Let's go Tampa specific first here. Allowed just 243 total yards, 3 of 15 on third down. That's getting off the field, and allowed just 3 total points here. B-Mac, how impressed were you with Tampa Bay's defense in this one, and what was kind of the hallmark of it? How did they succeed?
I was really impressed. I felt like they would be successful against the Cowboys offense, but I didn't think they would be able to dominate for 4 quarters. And the most impressive thing for me in regards to Tampa's success defensively was the secondary play. They didn't allow any separation from the pass catchers from the Dallas Cowboys, specifically speaking, the wide receivers. They had difficulties in creating separation. Because of that, Dak Prescott looked below average today. So if they can continue to have that type of presence in their defense, for their defense, this unit was a pretty good unit last year, but they can definitely be better than what we've seen in years past based on the impressive play that I saw from the secondary guys. And I might be a bit biased because I used to command the secondary as well, but whenever I see guys in the secondary doing what they're supposed to do, I gotta tip my hat to those fellas.
Ryan, we know B-Mac just said it here. Good group last year, but look top tier here in their debut on Sunday. How much credit do you give to Todd Bowles in that department?
Oh, I give Todd Bowles all the credit. He's a fantastic defensive coordinator, and it's the big win for him as the head coach for sure. But let's be honest, B-Mac, they had one and a half wide receivers out there in CeeDee Lamb and Dalton Schultz. That said, the back four showed up, and there's no doubt about that. I was also impressed by Devin White, who historically the knock against him has been he doesn't play well in coverage. He was all up in Dak Prescott's business when he was trying to layer those throws to the second level, made a lot of plays there. Levante David was doing Levante David things he's been doing for what feels like 20 years on the football field, making big plays. Logan Hall, the rookie second-round pick out of Houston, made some plays early in the game, so it came at all 3 levels. This speaks to Todd Bowles. This speaks to how well this defense is playing already. And look, like I said, you can complain and perhaps say that Dak Prescott didn't have the weapons. It's week 1. These are the guys you put out there. That's all Tampa Bay has to worry about. And they went out there and they did their job, and they did it convincingly.
These were the 2 highest scoring offenses from a year ago, struggling to get into the end zone here. That includes Tampa's offense, who scored just the 1 touchdown as well, Ryan. As you take a look at what this offense was able to do in places that it struggled, let's not forget Peyton Manning not too long ago rode off into the sunset on the shoulders of a defense. Not saying that Tom Brady's going to do that. I'm sure he'd be willing to do that this season. But where were they maybe inefficient in the way that they attacked offensively here? Where's Tom going to want to be better, Ryan?
Well, he would want the interception back. That was a bad interception, not only for Tom Brady, but for a first-year quarterback. And he admitted as much right after the ball left his hands. He was without Chris Godwin. It looked like Mike Evans was banged up for a little bit there at the beginning of at the end of the first half. So there's some concerns there perhaps. They did lose their left tackle and Donovan Smith. Have to see where he's at. I thought the backup came in and held his own. But it also felt like the Bucs were in cruise control after the first half. They knew what they were up against, and it wasn't a whole lot in terms of competition from the Cowboys offense. So they let the defense do what they do, and Todd Bowles admitted as much at halftime. We're going to run the football, and Leonard Fournette looked like he was at LSU, and the Dallas Cowboys had 0 answers in terms of trying to stop him.
Yeah, 21 totes for $127 for playoff Lenny, who appeared to be in midseason form or playoff form here in week 1. Ryan just sort of touched upon something there, that they threw it into cruise control because they knew what they were up against or what they weren't up against. It looked like this Dallas team, B-Mac, was resigned to the fact that they had lost this game immediately after that Evans touchdown. Did you take any issue in their fight here in the second half or lack thereof?
Yeah, and the lack of sense of the urgency. You know what I mean? We didn't see an urgency from this ball club. At halftime, they were down, 12-3. You still have a shot. You got 2 quarters to be able to showcase what you can do to get back into this game. We never saw that. And for the very first time in a long time, we saw a big disadvantage in talent, especially offensively in regards to the Cowboys compared to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They lack talent on the offensive side. We know they're missing some key contributors at the wide receiver position, but outside of that, the talent was a huge concern for me going into this ball game, and we saw that concern become a reality throughout the 4 quarters of play.
No doubt about it. This is a Cowboys team that continues to underperform relative to expectation, and I think that's an understatement here on Sunday because you said it, 12-3 at half. 12-3, on this Sunday, that's a game you could win with 4 minutes left in the game, BMAC, let alone a full half of football. One of the big questions here for Tampa Bay coming into this game was the retooled offensive line, this group out in front of Brady that did allow 2 sacks in the first half. BMAC, how do you grade out this group when you take a look at what they were able to do in protecting Brady in the second half?
Only allowed 2 sacks. We saw some guys collapse the pocket, but that's a pretty good night, especially losing your left tackle in mid-game. And knowing you're going against a guy in Michael Parsons, who probably is one of the best up-and-coming pass rushers in the National Football League. He did get back there, and he had those 2 sacks. But in all, they kept Tom Brady pretty comfortable for the most part. And I think that has to be the storyline for this offensive line throughout the year, because they're already dealing with injuries, and then losing your left tackle, not knowing exactly how severe that injury is. They got to be, a consistent flow on the offensive line, because if Tom Brady is not comfortable, this offense will be stagnant.
Brady sacked twice, pressured twice more. As we take a look at the team comparison here, 19-3 again, your final, just 244 total yards as Dallas struggled to get any sort of offensive fluidity going. Just a $173 through the air, and saw Cooper Rush late as Dak did leave with a hand injury, which we hope to have more information on here in the coming hours and days on CBS Sports HQ. All right, continuing the conversation here between Dallas and the Bucs and the boys, that is. Tampa Bay was a 2.5-point favorite coming into this game. Total was 50.5, so your winning tickets include Tampa Bay and under that total. A couple people handed those out earlier on pregame. If you want to win, you win with us. But let's talk about this game and some of the questions coming out of it. How big of a concern is it here? Dak Prescott moving forward didn't show us much, but he's got to be able to show you something, and his availability now comes into question. How worried are you just in the grand scheme of things when we think about the Cowboys, because it is an owner that makes himself very present and is often short on patience?
I'm concerned for a few reasons. Number one, he injured his hand, didn't come back, ended up going into the locker room probably to get a scan. That's not good. Now, not going to speculate on how severe that injury is, guys, but anytime an individual go into the locker room, it's for a particular reason. He didn't stay on the sideline. He didn't re-enter the ball game. He went instantly into the locker room. So maybe they want to see exactly the severity of the injury. And that's his right hand. If I'm not mistaken, Zach is right-handed, correct?
That is correct.
That's important.
Yeah.
Very important. Then outside of the injury concerns, so your star quarterback, offensive line had issues, didn't try to run the football. I question that logic. And then your wide receivers, they're not creating separation. And right now, this is the wrong time to be going through some growing pains in the Dallas Cowboys organization, because for such a long time, they were always considered the most talented team in the division. The NFC East became the NFC least because of bad play, consistently bad play. But one thing I can say, in 1 week of watching the NFL, the NFC East has improved. Washington, the Commanders, a much better ball club than what we've seen in years past. The Philadelphia Eagles, I for one feel like they would be the best team in the division. And the Giants showed some heart and some grit today against the Tennessee Titans. So right now, there's only one team that is winless so far in the NFC East, and that's the Dallas Cowboys. So that is something to be mindful of, especially if something is up health-wise with your star quarterback in Dak Prescott.
We'll see how that news transpires here over the coming days. Mike McCarthy was pictured after the game receiving some news. Couldn't see the words, couldn't read the lips from the training staff, but he did not look too happy with the news that he did receive, likely regarding Dak's status. Gentlemen, we appreciate your insights all day long here on CBS Sports HQ. Taking a look at some numbers coming out of this one, as Dak's last 2 seasons has left plenty to be desired. 48% here on Sunday with interception, no touchdowns before the early exit in the 4th. 37-10 was a nice ratio a year ago for the quarterback that led a division champ to the playoffs. But as BMAC said, the hill gets steeper in that division with the Birds looking big and bad.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.